The science behind vaccines. How do they work? Pathogens are what cause diseases in the body. They can be bacterium or viruses, even parasites and fungus. Antigens are produced by the body to directly attack these foreign bodies that cause ailments and diseases. Vaccines contain the antigens to help trigger an immune response so your body knows how to handle these pathogens. What are pathogens? Bacterium. These come in many shapes and sizes, with various degrees of serious to light reactions that can occur within your body. Bacterium or bacteria are single-celled organisms found everywhere on the planet. They range from harmless to helpful to detrimental. Harmful bacteria affects the body by either rapidly multiplying and crowding out your cells or deliberately attacking and killing cells. They can make toxins which are capable of killing and paralyzing cells, even causing drastic immune reactions from your body, which can be too much for your system to handle, causing your immune system to shut down. Viruses. Germs with a protein coating that cause many common infections, such as the flu or common cold. They work by hijacking cells and then multiplying to produce more virus-infected cells. Over time, these viruses inside your cells can kill them completely or change them to make you ill. Parasites. Parasites are exactly as they sound, a foreign organism that has invaded your body and taken up residence. Most parasites won't kill their host, but they can cause major side effects and ailments. They can spread diseases from host to host and are capable of altering your body's natural systems, from stunting growth to affecting your digestive tract and even brain functions. History of vaccines. The beginning. Though it is postulated that countries like China have used unofficial forms of vaccines all the way back in the year 10,000 AD, the first official vaccine was against smallpox. Edward Jenner used cowpox pustules to create the smallpox vaccine in 1796, later eradicating the disease in a span of 200 years. Louis Pasteur, 1885, created the rabies vaccine, which then paved the way for more vaccines against diseases such as diphtheria and tetanus, even anthrax and tuberculosis. Without these innovations in medicine, we would still be dying at young ages from many preventable diseases. How are vaccines created? The science and manufacturing. Early forms of vaccines were quite simple and also quite risky. The first forms of practice were to take a sample of an infection, such as cowpox, and then inoculate a person with a small dose. The effect was typically a local reaction to the newly administered disease, and the body would then produce antigens to fight the infection. Once the body successfully combated the disease, they formed an immunity to it because of coding in the genes to recognize the infection and be amply prepared to combat it in the future. How vaccines are created today. We have come a long way from merely directly infecting an individual with a disease to create immunity. Currently, we are able to take unattenuated forms of diseases and viruses with the proper antigen coding already inside and present these to an individual. The effect of this is that the body can read the correct antigen response and combat the foreign body directly. This creates fast results with little side effects. Unattenuated means the virus or bacteria is already dead, so there is little risk to the individual. Current vaccines. Currently, thanks to modern medicine, we have many vaccines that have either helped completely eradicate or mitigate diseases to a point of scarcity. The vaccines nearly everyone gets are the following: diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis, also known as Tdap, measles, mumps, and rubella, your MMR shot, hepatitis A, hepatitis B, meningococcal disease, or meningitis, varicella, also known as chickenpox, polio, and influenza. Diseases you aren't concerned with because of vaccines. Have vaccines eradicated common diseases? The following picture is a graph created by the CDC showing annual 20th century morbidity and 2019 morbidity of selected diseases in the US. Common concerns and misconceptions. In this day and age of the internet, anyone and everyone can have a platform to voice their opinion on any given subject. Vaccines have long been a target for many misinformed individuals who receive false information either from friends, family, or even occasionally news sources. We will be discussing each common misconception and why they are false or based on pseudoscience. The overloaded immune system myth. This is mostly concerning young children or even infants. The theory is that a child's immune system can't handle all of the vaccines presented to their body. This is false because many studies have shown that there is no increase in risk or adverse side effects when administered vaccines together or separately. The eradicated diseases myth. This idea is based around the lack of specific diseases in certain countries. For example, in America, there is no recent reportings of diseases like polio. However, just because your country doesn't have this disease doesn't mean other countries don't. In fact, the reason we hardly ever hear about certain diseases anymore is because of regulated vaccinations for infants and children. If you choose not to immunize your child, based off of this idea, you still run the risk of a disease being transmitted by an individual who has traveled from a country where it is still prominent. Vaccines make you sick. People often assume that a vaccine can make them sick because they are being administered a virus to stimulate immunity. The reality is most all vaccines come from unattenuated viruses or bacteria and even have the proper antigen coding inside them to make sure the body knows how to handle it. This means most vaccines are not live viruses. The most common example of this is individuals believing they got sick from the flu shot, when in fact they most likely already had the virus in them before being administered a vaccine. Proper hygiene is superior to vaccinations. While proper hygiene is important in the prevention of transmission for diseases, it is not a foolproof system. For example, if we take a look at the amount of cases of measles in America between 1950 and 1963, we will see that there were 300,000 to 800,000 reported cases annually. Compare this to the number of reported cases between 1968 and 1998. After the introduction of the measles vaccine, we see a large drop in cases. 1968, there were roughly 20,000 cases, and in 1998, merely under 100 cases were reported annually. Natural immunity is best. While natural immunity does provide longer lasting results, not all diseases can or should be naturally immunized against. Certain diseases have a high morbidity rate or long lasting effects on the body. These can range from permanent, partial, or full paralysis, like polio, or increased brain temperature to the point of death, like with measles. Even the common flu can be fatal for certain individuals, especially the elderly. This is why vaccines are not only recommended, but a safer approach to immunity as a whole. In conclusion, with so many available sources to garnish information regarding vaccines, it can be easy to pull the wrong threads. Always check the credibility of your sources, and don't blindly believe the friend that says, "Trust me, I've done my research." Vaccines are not only vital to the continued health of ourselves, but also the people around you. By continuing to diligently keep up with modern vaccines, we can one day enjoy a future where most of these preventable diseases have become eradicated.